we're going to lead the show tonight with Joey Batson announcing his retirement. Longtime strength and conditioning coach for the Clemson Tigers, even predates one Dabo Sweeney with the Clemson program. So a guy that is known around Clemson, South Carolina, loved amongst the players and the fans and everybody. But he's gonna call it quits after this season. He did announce that this will be his last season as the Clemson Tigers head strength and conditioning coach. So, Jordan, a couple angles here that I want to talk about. One, I want to give Joey Batson his props for everything that he's done for the program, first and foremost. I mean, this is a guy that has helped take Clemson to the heights that they've gone. 2 national titles, all the national championship appearances, all the playoff appearances, all the ACC championships. And he's been an integral part of that. So let's give him some love on here. And then also, what does the path without Joey look like? Are they going to promote from within? Are they going to go do a national search for a brand new big hire at the head strength and conditioning coach? Kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, first on Joey Batson, it's Joey Batson has been at Clemson about his first season was, did he come in with Tommy Bowden?
I think so, yes.
I want to say he did, but
I'll check it while you talk.
It's been multiple decades he's been at Clemson, like longer than I've been alive almost. Like he's been a fixture of what Clemson football has been. And, everyone obviously knows him from the fourth quarter video and that everybody loved that. But I think when you listen to the players and you listen to the coaches and everybody that worked with him, you see kind of what impact he had on them as people. He's just a person first guy in a job where, you have to be, you kind of have to be, because, when it comes to strength and conditioning and when it comes to getting these players in shape, you have to be able to curate, a plan for every individual player, depending on their needs and their body types, all sorts of things. And, he did that as well as anybody that's done it here. So, it's not going to be the same without him. His intensity was infectious. Like he could make me run through a wall. And it's not going to be the same without him. And
yeah, when I think of Joey Batson, like, one of the memories I think of is like, how Clemson does those videos every year where they ask like one of the former players or somebody to like make a hype video. In that one year, I think it was one of the national championship runs. It was Joey Batson, screaming and yelling and saying they don't put rings on smooth hands, and all his catch slogans, and just like he's that high energy, like intense guy that you think of when you think of a head strength and conditioning coach for a major D1 college football program. And I just looked it up. 29 years he has been the head strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, so even predating Tommy Bowden, he was
yeah.
Tommy. He was there when Tommy West was there.
Yeah, so this guy has seen Clemson through 3 decades now as the head strength and conditioning coach of the program. So he's seen them at some pretty low lows, and then been an integral part of the extremely high highs that the program's going through. So, shout out to him and everything that he's given to Clemson. I'm sure he'll still be somewhat around the program. When you're somewhere for that long, even when you retire, you don't necessarily walk completely away, right? Like, he'll still be, probably on campus every now and then, and, just kind of living his life. So shout out to him. And man, what a career. 40 years in the strength and conditioning field, 29 of which the head strength and conditioning coach for the Tigers. So that's pretty crazy.
No, 100%, man. It really is incredible. And this was, when the news came out last week. I can't say I was shocked. This was something that had been kind of churning for a little bit.
Yeah.
There were discussions that he was contemplating whether this past season was going to be his last.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some talks there, but he decided to give it one more run. I mean, and hey, I mean, this is as good a year to do it as any. I mean, with Clemson gearing up to potentially have a special season, this would be a good time, to go out.
Yeah.
And
if we can get them out on top with another national championship ring,
I hope so, man. And so I guess to kind of transition, like going forward, what this means for the program. Yeah. I do think that Clemson's strength and conditioning over the last couple of years had taken somewhat of a hit in some areas, and you can't hard to really point to the reasons for that. And so I do think this is a change that I think is, I don't want to say welcome, because you don't want to lose a guy that's as experienced and has done it for as long as Joey Batson has, and as well as he's done it. But sometimes you just need a fresh start, and I think this is a good opportunity for Clemson to, I don't know, get somebody new, even if it's a promotion from within, somebody different with a different direction and a different mindset, running the program. And so I'm really interested to see how they go, where they go. I've heard a couple of names that have been intriguing, but I'm not entirely sure what direction they're going to go, and that I don't think that's been finalized yet. But whoever it is, given the track record of Dabo this offseason, as far as making staff hires, I'm pretty confident it's going to be somebody that is going to be able to do the job very well. I just no doubt in my mind, and that's something that Dabo has certainly emphasized and cared about throughout his career. Clemson throughout Dabo's tenure has been pretty fortunate as far as injuries. They haven't had a ton of guys that go down. Obviously the last few years have been you've seen a little bit of an uptick, but during the championship runs, you were pretty unscathed. I don't want to say unscathed. You had your injuries. It happens every season, but you didn't have the catastrophic injuries that maybe some other programs had. Especially to key players, and I think that's a testament to how well your players were prepared physically. So I have a really strong belief and confidence that this hire is going to be something that is going to be good for the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Joey Batson, as we mentioned, has done an amazing job at Clemson for the past 29 seasons. But moving on from him, I think it's important to kind of get a fresh set of ideas and a fresh look at it, and kind of that's been kind of Dabo's direction when it comes to these hires. But I trust that they'll get somebody that's experienced and ready for the challenge of being Clemson's head strength and conditioning coach, right? I don't see them going after anybody that's new or lacks experience or anything like that. If you've noticed how Dabo has started filling staff vacancies, he's leaning heavily into experience, right? Having a proven track record of doing your job, whatever that may be, at a very high level. And I don't expect that the head strength and conditioning hire will be any different. So I look forward to seeing who it will end up being. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have a list of 10 names of strength and conditioning coaches that I want Dabo or Clemson to take a look at, because that's not true. I don't know. But I'm sure it will be somebody that is immensely qualified and has a proven track record. And, that's what we're looking for.
100%. And, it's going to be a big hire.
Absolutely.
It always is. And, it's one of those, it's one of those positions that one of the few that are like on the support staff that get as much attention to it as it does. Like you don't see. There's very few, you will always when you follow a college football program, you will see fans like whenever they have injuries blame the strength and conditioning. It's like, oh, is our strength and conditioning?
Yeah, we need a new strength and conditioning
there.
coach. Yeah,
it's almost like it's as scrutinized as like offensive line coach and like
no doubt. Yeah. Offensive line coach never gets any love.
No,
boy, you let his O-line give up like 4 or 5 sacks in a weekend, and everybody's talking about him.
Do we need to make a change? So obviously that's not a problem here as far as
no,
line,
definitely
but,
not.
There are a lot of reasons for the injuries that Clemson had to deal with over the last few seasons, and I mean it's hard to always blame. It's hard to blame strength and conditioning for for things that really have nothing to do with strength and conditioning.
Right. I mean, some stuff is just, injuries happen. It's football, right? It's a very physical, high contact, very taxing on the body sport, right? So I was, never really of the belief of, I know we had that rash of, especially in the wide receiver position group, of injuries, but, blaming that on strength and conditioning, knowing the track record that Joey Batson had at the program for so long and all those years that we went through all those playoff runs, playing more games than anybody in the country and didn't have a ton of injuries, he didn't suddenly forget how to be a head strength and conditioning coach. It's funny you mention it. This is actually like a kind of an underrated on how important of a hire it will be, because when you think about it, you always, fans are always into like, who's the offensive coordinator, who's the defensive coordinator, who's the, whatever on the field coach. But, what some fans don't realize, I'm sure everybody in here does, because, they're college football degenerates because they're listening to a college football show at the end of April for no reason at all. Thank you guys all for being here, by the way. But, the head strength and conditioning coach spends a lot of time with your team and your players. So that's a hire that you have to get right. That's got to be a guy that buys into your culture, the direction of your program, the founding principles of your program, all that kind of stuff, right? Because they do spend an immense amount of time with the football players when all the other coaching staff are busy doing other stuff, right? All those early morning workouts, all them summer workout, like all that stuff, like, they're involved in all that kind of stuff. So it is a key hire in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the names that's been thrown out there, probably been the I would say the leading candidate, Dennis Love being your assistant strength and conditioning coach. I think it would be a very obvious, like, solid move. I can't say I'm like you. I can't say I have a list of strength and conditioning coaches around the country that I'd rather have. But he's a guy that's been in the program a while now, and has learned from one of the best in the business over the years. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and he could bring his own flair and changes to how things are run, and we can see how that works. But this final decision hasn't been made, so we'll continue to see how that process is playing out.
Absolutely.